wedding coordinator, sold our venue to celebrity. For triple price, relocated us to McDonald's parking lot. 3 days before my wedding, Victoria Sterling called with news that would make any bride hyperventilate. A pipe burst at Grand Bellagio Estate, she explained, her voice carrying practiced sympathy. The entire reception hall is flooded. I'm devastated to tell you this, but your venue is completely unusable. I sank onto my couch, 18 months of planning suddenly suspended, in midair. The $50,000 we'd scraped together, working extra freelance gigs every weekend, emptying our savings, gone in one phone call. But Victoria, ever the professional, rushed to reassure me. I've secured a temporary alternative space while we figure things out, she said. Very exclusive, very private. I'll have to charge an additional $500 for the last-minute arrangements, but it's the best I could do on short notice. I wrote down the address through a haze of shock. Something felt off, but with 150 guests flying in, some already en route, I was desperate for solutions. When Ben and I pulled up to the coordinates the next morning, my heart dropped from my chest to my stomach to somewhere beneath the cracked asphalt beneath our feet. There was no elegant backup venue, just a McDonald's parking lot, complete with overflowing dumpsters and a sad, wrinkled rental tent that couldn't shelter 20 people, let alone our entire guest list. Victoria stood beside it in her Prada pantsuit, designer sunglasses hiding whatever void existed behind her eyes. Isn't it charming? She beamed, gesturing to the grease-stained pavement where seagulls fought over French fry remnants. Very rustic chic. That evening, while sobbing into a pint of Ben & Jerry's, I mindlessly scrolled through Instagram. That's when I saw it. America's favorite actress posing with her NBA star fiancé at Grand Bellagio Estate, our venue. Their spontaneous intimate ceremony was scheduled for Saturday, our wedding day, with our flowers, our table arrangements, even our signature cocktail visible in the background. I could have accepted an act of God destroying our venue. I couldn't accept being sold out to celebrities willing to pay triple. And Victoria Sterling was about to learn that while I plan PR campaigns for a living, I'm even better at executing them. Updated. Thanks for all the supportive comments. Can't believe this is blowing up. Several of you asked about the legal contract. Yes, we had one, but Victoria insists the comparable venue clause is satisfied by the tent. My lawyer disagrees. Would you have immediately gone nuclear or tried reasoning first? Ben proposed on the Santa Monica Pier, exactly where we'd met during a charity photography event. For 18 months, we planned our dream wedding with Victoria. Sterling coming highly recommended as the coordinator to the stars. Her client list included tech billionaires, minor royalty, and celebrities who couldn't afford the truly A-list planners. At our first meeting, she ordered a $24 avocado toast, interrupted me constantly, and name-dropped so aggressively I nearly got whiplash. But her portfolio was undeniably impressive. Breathtaking Malibu weddings with ocean backdrops and sunset ceremonies that looked straight out of a magazine. I can get you into Grand Bellagio Estate, she whispered conspiratorially. They're booked solid for 3 years, but the owner owes me a favor. 2 weeks later, we signed contracts and transferred a $50,000 non-refundable deposit, nearly our entire wedding budget and years of savings. Every month brought new expenses. $5,000 for venue coordination fees, $3,000 for exclusive vendor access, another $2,000 for premium date reservation. Each time Victoria called with her hand out, we convinced ourselves this was normal for high-end Malibu weddings. Our families couldn't contribute much. Ben's parents were retired teachers who'd already helped his sister through medical school. My dad had been battling cancer, with treatments that drained my parents' savings. Ben and I worked extra gigs every weekend, him shooting corporate events, me writing press releases at 2 a.m., just to afford this one perfect day. The red flags were there from the beginning. Victoria was consistently late to meetings, forgot key details we'd discussed, and once called me Jennifer throughout an entire vendor meeting. When I corrected her, she laughed and said, "All my brides blur together, darling." Emails went unanswered for weeks. Calls went straight to voicemail. But whenever we expressed concerns, Victoria would immediately book some amazing vendor at a special discount or send photos of new luxurious details being added to our package. 1 month before the wedding, Victoria became oddly attentive. Constant calls, checking details, sending updates. I was relieved, thinking she was finally focusing on our big day. In reality, she was documenting every aspect of our carefully planned wedding, not for us, but for the celebrity couple who would eventually steal it. 2 weeks before the wedding, Victoria asked for our final payment earlier than scheduled, claiming the venue needed it for special orders. We scraped together our last $10,000, emptying our emergency fund completely. At that point, we'd invested over $75,000. Money we definitely didn't have as a photographer and a PR coordinator in our late 20s, but we were too close to back out now. The night before Victoria's pipe-burst call, I'd finished addressing our welcome bags, 150 handwritten notes thanking each guest for sharing our special day. My mom had flown in to help, despite Dad being in the middle of chemo treatments. Ben's entire family was driving down from Oregon. Friends were coming from across the country. Everything was finally falling into place. Then came the call that changed everything. Standing in that McDonald's parking lot, I could smell fry grease mingling with car exhaust while Victoria gestured dramatically at the pitiful tent. "We've had to make adjustments, but the show must go on." She fluttered around, pointing out where we could set up a rustic bar experience on a wobbly plastic table. Behind her, a teenager in a McDonald's uniform took his smoke break, watching the scene unfold with mild amusement. "Victoria," I said, my voice unnaturally calm. "This is a parking lot." "It's an open-air venue," she corrected, straightening the plastic tablecloth that had already started flying away in the coastal breeze. "Very on-trend. Celebrities are doing it." "Speaking of celebrities," Ben interjected, his photographers eye-catching every horrific detail. "We saw some interesting Instagram posts last night." Victoria's smile froze. "Oh," I pulled out my phone and held up the screen showing America's sweetheart and her basketball star fiancé posing at Grand Bellagio. Weird coincidence that they're having their spontaneous wedding at our supposedly flooded venue, on our exact date, with our exact floral arrangements. The parking lot fell silent except for the crackle of the McDonald's drive-thru speaker ordering someone to pull forward. Victoria's expression shifted from faux sympathy to cold calculation. The Carmichaels are very important clients. When they called with an emergency request, certain accommodations had to be made. "Accommodations?" My voice rose. "You sold our wedding." "I provided an alternative solution," she said, gesturing again to the pathetic tent. "The deposit is non-refundable, as per your contract." Our contract was for Grand Bellagio Estate, not McDonald's McMansion. I was shaking now, pulling up the contract on my phone. Section 8.3 clearly states that in case of venue unavailability, you're required to provide a comparable alternative, or full refund. Victoria's eyes narrowed. "This is comparable." Ben, usually the calm one, stepped forward. "A $500 tent in a fast food parking lot is comparable to a $50,000 oceanfront estate?" Victoria sighed like we were difficult children. "Listen, no one will remember the venue. They'll remember your love." She reached for my arm, but I stepped back. "Besides, it's too late to do anything else. Your wedding is in 3 days." That's when I noticed her watch. A brand new Cartier that definitely wasn't on her wrist at our last meeting. The pieces clicked together, the sudden attention to our details, the rushed final payment, the convenient emergency. She'd documented our entire wedding plan, sold it to celebrities willing to pay premium for last-minute luxury, and pocketed the difference, while dumping us behind a fast food joint. "We want our money back," Ben stated flatly. "All of it. Now." Victoria's smile vanished. "That's not possible. The funds have been allocated, and your contract specifically states, our contract is with Grand Bellagio Estate, not Burger King." "Backyard," I cut in. "McDonald's, actually," she corrected automatically, then realized her mistake. I pulled out my phone and started recording. "Victoria Sterling, are you stating on record that you've taken our $60,000, given away our contracted venue, and are offering a fast food parking lot as a legally comparable alternative?" Her eyes widened. "Stop recording. That's not—" She lunged for my phone, but Ben stepped between us. "We're leaving," I said, my PR brain already formulating a plan. "You'll be hearing from us very soon." "Don't threaten me," Victoria sneered, her mask fully slipping now. "I have connections you couldn't imagine. The Carmichaels have more power in their Instagram comments than you'll have in your lifetime. No one will believe you over them." Smiled for the first time that day. "That's where you're wrong, Victoria. No one roots for Goliath when David has receipts." Back at our apartment, I called the police to file a fraud report. The officer who arrived took detailed notes but warned us this might be classified as a civil rather than criminal matter. "Document everything," he advised, "and get a good lawyer immediately." My next call was to David Rosenberg, a media lawyer I'd worked with on a PR disaster for a client last year. He arrived at our apartment within 2 hours, reviewed our contract, and confirmed what we already knew. Victoria was in clear breach. "We have multiple angles to pursue," David explained. "Civil litigation for breach of contract and fraud, potential criminal charges depending on how many other couples she's done this to, and the court of public opinion, which might move faster than the actual courts." We worked through the night compiling every communication with Victoria, the contract with Grand Bellagio, receipts for all payments, screenshots of the celebrity Instagram posts showing our exact wedding setup. By morning, we had a comprehensive file documenting the entire fraud. My TMZ contact was enthusiastic but cautious. "This is compelling, but we need to verify the celebrities." Involvement before running anything. If they didn't know, we don't want to damage their reputation. That afternoon, my boss called with news. One of her clients was a reality TV producer who knew someone on the celebrity brides team. He says they were told your wedding was canceled, and the venue happened to be available. They have no idea. They stole someone else's event. While David prepared legal documents, I crafted the story with surgical precision. This wasn't just about our wedding anymore. It was about wealthy privilege versus regular people's dreams, about corrupt vendors, exploiting both sides. The narrative practically wrote itself. At 9 a.m. the next morning, just 2 days before our now non-existent wedding, the story broke on TMZ. Wedding planner sells couple's dream day to celebrities, offers McDonald's parking lot instead, complete with photos of the sad tent, copies of our contract, and the damning Instagram posts. The story didn't immediately explode as I'd hoped. For the first few hours, it was just another TMZ scandal in a sea of celebrity gossip. But by afternoon, it had been picked up by local news stations. By evening, it was trending on Twitter with McDonald's wedding and wedding thief. Overnight, it reached morning shows and national news. Victoria called screaming at 10:30 a.m. I let it go to voicemail, saving her increasingly panicked messages as she realized what was happening. By noon, the celebrity couple's publicist released a statement. We are horrified to learn about this situation. We were informed the original wedding was canceled. We have reached out to the affected couple and are working to make this right. The Grand Bellagio management called next, equally mortified. Ms. Sterling told us you had canceled weeks ago. We had no idea she was double booking your date. By afternoon, Victoria's other clients were coming forward with similar stories of mismanagement and fraud. A bride whose exclusive flowers were reused at 3 weddings the same weekend. A groom whose custom cake showed up at another wedding the next day. Each revelation drove more nails into Victoria Sterling's professional coffin. That evening, as Ben and I sat surrounded by unwrapped wedding gifts we'd have to return and welcome bags we'd never distribute, my phone rang. It was the celebrity, bride herself, updated. Wow, didn't expect this to get picked up by actual news outlets. For those asking about my job, yes, I'm still employed. Thankfully, my boss has been supportive. Victoria has been calling non-stop, alternating between threats and tearful apologies. The celebrity couples team just reached out directly. Do you think I should take their call or let everything go through lawyers? I took the call on speakerphone so Ben could hear. The actress's voice was surprisingly normal, stripped of Hollywood polish. I can't begin to tell you how horrified we are, she said. We had no idea we were taking someone else's wedding. Victoria told us your event was canceled months ago, and the venue happened to be available. I believed her. The genuine shock in her voice couldn't be faked, even by an Oscar nominee. We're trying to figure out next steps, I said, watching Ben stare blankly at our wedding bands sitting on the coffee table. We want to make this right, she continued. We'll cover all your costs, plus whatever it takes to give you the wedding. You planned. Same venue, different date, whatever you need. While her offer was generous, it wasn't that simple. Our guests had already arranged travel. My dad had timed his treatment schedule around this date. We couldn't just reschedule for another random Saturday. The conversation ended with her legal team promising to send a formal proposal within 24 hours. When it arrived, David reviewed it carefully before advising us. Their offer is fair, but we should negotiate for additional compensation given the circumstances, and this doesn't affect your case against Sterling. By morning, Victoria's empire was crumbling spectacularly. The California Association of Wedding Professionals revoked her membership. Grand Bellagio Estate and 6 other luxury venues banned her permanently. Her website disappeared. Her Instagram went private, then vanished completely. The celebrity. Couple's damage control team called with an expanded offer. Not only would they cover a rescheduled wedding at Grand Bellagio, but they'd also pay for all our guests' change travel arrangements. After some negotiation, they added a $50,000 inconvenience fee, delivered via cashier's check 3 days later. Our lawyer advised accepting. This is a fair settlement that makes you whole, David said, and it doesn't prevent us from pursuing Sterling separately. That afternoon, we received papers confirming Victoria was being investigated for fraud by the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office. 3 more couples had come forward with similar stories. Her assistant, now former assistant, provided emails proving Victoria had systematically double-booked venues and pocketed the difference. We ultimately accepted the celebrity couple's offer with one additional request. Instead of an inconvenience fee, we asked them to donate $50,000 to the cancer center treating my dad. After consulting with their PR team, they agreed immediately and doubled it to $100,000, a gesture that seemed genuine rather than calculated. Grand Bellagio offered us a date 3 months later with significant upgrades, the presidential suite, premium bar package, and extra hours at no charge. They were desperate to repair their reputation after unwittingly participating in Victoria's scheme. Victoria's final desperate move came 5 days after the story broke. Her lawyer contacted ours, offering a settlement of $25,000, less than half of what she'd stolen, contingent on our signing an NDA and making a public statement that it had all been a misunderstanding. We declined through our attorney, who informed them that any further direct contact would be considered harassment. 2 weeks later, the DA's office announced Victoria's arrest on multiple charges of fraud. The investigation had uncovered a pattern, spanning 5 years and affecting dozens of couples. She'd built her entire business on double booking, overcharging, and stealing from both venues and clients. As Victoria's case progressed through the legal system, more wedding industry professionals came forward about her tactics. She'd threatened vendors who questioned her methods, blackmailed venue managers who caught on to her schemes, created fake reviews to destroy competitors. The wedding industry's polished facade was cracking, revealing the ugly business practices beneath the tulle and roses. 3 months later, Ben and I finally had our wedding at Grand Bellagio Estate. The ceremony was even more beautiful than we'd originally planned. Sunset over the Pacific, flowers everywhere, and heartfelt vows that now carried extra meaning about standing together through chaos. My dad was there, finished with his treatments and in remission. Everyone who mattered made it to the rescheduled date. The celebrity couple sent an enormous arrangement of white roses with a card reading simply, "To New Beginnings." They never publicized their contribution, never used our situation for positive press. I gained genuine respect for how they handled everything. Victoria Sterling's sentencing hearing happened 2 days after we returned from our honeymoon. She received 5 years for multiple counts of fraud, with restitution payments to all affected couples. The judge specifically mentioned the McDonald's parking lot incident as demonstrating unprecedented arrogance and cruelty in an industry built on dreams. Our story had unexpected ripple effects across the wedding industry. California passed Sterling's law, requiring wedding vendors to carry specific insurance and abide by stricter contract regulations. Several high-end venues implemented new booking verification systems, contacting couples directly rather than working exclusively through planners. My PR agency promoted me for how I handled the crisis. Ben's photography business exploded after our story went viral, with couples specifically requesting the photographer who wouldn't settle for McDonald's. We started a side consulting business helping engaged couples review contracts and vet vendors. 1 year later, we returned to that McDonald's parking lot on our anniversary. The staff recognized us immediately. Our story had become legend at that location. The manager brought out champagne in paper cups and a special anniversary cake, a Big Mac box filled with cupcakes decorated with tiny wedding bells. Standing there in the same spot where Victoria had tried to pawn off a fast food parking lot as our venue, Ben took my hands. "Would you marry me all over again, McDonald's and all?" "In a heartbeat," I said, "but maybe next time with fewer national headlines." Life's biggest moments rarely go as planned. Sometimes they go viral instead. Updated. It's been amazing sharing this wild journey with all of you. Victoria was sentenced yesterday, 5 years plus restitution. The wedding industry in LA has completely transformed, with several popular planners now under investigation. We're expecting our first child next spring, planned, unlike our wedding saga. Would you have taken the celebrity couple's money or fought for your original date?